Hello, and welcome again to the Nothing Sacred interview. I am Cruise Control.
And I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And we have an interesting one for you this time.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to ignore.
Real stiff competition.
Oh, God. Okay, we'll get that out of the way now. We've got Howard Casanova with us. Let me bring up this and get this music down. Howard, are you with us? Can you hear us?
I am, and I do.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Once again, this is the Nothing Sacred interview. I am Cruise Control, and that over there is Maxwell. So we're gonna get this started. So I guess, Max, why don't you go ahead and take this off? You start.
First of all, Howard, I gotta say, man, this is pretty cool. That nobody wants to admit that they have this particular problem, especially no guy. And
right.
So the fact that you said, I'm gonna take a lemon and make it lemonade. And use it to help other men. Most guys would just be like, hey, I'm going to, go ahead and just use this thing. And I'm not going to tell anyone my secret because I don't want that out, So I think it's pretty cool that you're doing this, first of all.
Well, thank you.
And, just so those know, basically you have erectile dysfunction?
Yes, I do.
And when did this start?
Probably a little early in my case because I discovered that I was an avid bicycle rider for a long time, and I rode on those skinny, racy seats that you saw Lance Armstrong and all the other guys riding on. And I don't know what it's doing to them. That's going to be a market I'm going to explore. But it rubbed so hard on that area between the butt and the scrotum.
Oh, your taint.
The taint.
Yeah.
That's
there you go.
It taints your ass and it ain't your balls.
That's right. I completely understand. And I didn't figure this out until decades later that it was causing the leaking that I write about in the booklet that caused me to I could get an erection, I could get it up, but I couldn't keep it up. And boy, was that frustrating.
Well, I'm sure. And even around that time, in those early years, so you obviously, you started to notice a problem, with several women or with the same woman, or how did that go? Well,
it was with the same woman. By this time in my life, I was married again. I'd been married and divorced earlier. But now I'm in my late 30s, early 40s. And, I think every guy has a failing erection happen sometime after they start having erections.
Yeah.
But it was the constant consistency of it that just got to be more and more prevalent, more and more often. That, well, you wonder, am I drinking too much? Did I not eat the right foods? Am I not getting enough sleep? Did we have a fight, her and I? You name it. All the list is very long. Didn't matter. I was looking for a consistent cause, and there wasn't one.
And that's the problem with that too. I think there's so many factors that can spoil it. And it could be as simple as, like you said, if you just had a fight, something psychological, or something someone said to you. If you screw around and you got multiple chicks, if some girl makes a comment about, well, you don't have a big enough penis or whatever, then all of a sudden it becomes, you wonder, well, was it psychological, or like you say, something you drank or something you didn't drink,
or even as simple as temperature. You could be in the moment and it's cold, and there's nothing you can do. It's something, but that's something you can kind of pinpoint at least. It must be really frustrating and obviously embarrassing in some ways to have this happen when it's that moment. And I know it goes with the commercial and stuff like that, but then you realize, and you don't know why. It's not like you can pinpoint it, so it's just frustrating in multiple ways at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. My partner just handed me a note to add to the conversation later on, but yeah, it was consistently frustrating. And then as I write about in the book, Viagra hit the market about this time. I'm 70 as we're having this conversation, so this is more than 30 years ago for me that it started happening with consistent frequency. Viagra cured it for a long, long time. That was the end all be all as far as fixes go, and I like Cialis too. But even after a while, they started to fail, and oh my God, what am I going to do now?
And also, it's kind of scary. I mean, you really don't know what those medications are doing other than just helping with the erection, because all the side effects and stuff we're learning about now from different things, eyesight problems and stuff like that, from what I've heard, just various things that you don't even know what you're doing. While maybe fixing the issue, I'm sure there was probably part of your mind going, well, what else is this, medication doing, right?
Yeah, I suppose. The biggest side effect that it had on me is it gave me sinus headaches. So I would pop a couple of Sudafed along with the Viagra, and that kind of revved me up a little bit and took care of the sinus headache at the same time. I'm not I'm just telling I want this understood. My personal little disclaimer, which I have in the booklet also, and that is I am just simply describing what me and my partner did for our satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to share my story. If anybody can get anything out of it for their own personal use, that is absolutely wonderful. It's a nice thing to pass on. But otherwise, I am not giving advice here, and I am no kind of an expert. And I'm just like you guys. We're all experts at running our own lives.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. I just like the different different aspects of of just the whole industry and just the phenomenon of the last 30 years. But that's where I'm kind of coming from with it. But let's continue. So at that point when Viagra and Cialis just didn't go where you were expecting them to, or help how you're expecting them to.
Yeah. And there were some other problems too. My marriage was starting to fall apart, and this was after 25 years at that point that it really got seriously troubled. And now we're talking 7 or 8 years ago. But let me give you a little forward on that marriage, a recap, I should say. I was 36 years old when I met this 22-year-old babe, and I'm not exaggerating, babe at all. She was just as cute as any 22-year-old strawberry blonde, perfect size 8 figure that you'd ever meet in your life. She could have been a Las Vegas showgirl. And she was bouncy and happy and sparkly, and she adored me. I was 36. She always liked older guys. I'm younger than her previous boyfriend. And
wow.
and we hooked up, and I want to tell you guys, if you can imagine a 36-year-old guy who's divorced, got a kid, hooking up with a beautiful 22-year-old chick that she just worships the ground I walk on it for a long time. Man, you can't write a prescription for that much fun.
I would like to write a prescription about right now, because I just turned 40, so I would take that prescription. I would take that right now, just to have the experience.
And me personally, I like older women, but that's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the kicker. Going back over, now it's 30 years ago. That was back, I told you, I was 36 years old. I didn't have any trouble at all with erectile dysfunction through those years. It wasn't until I was into my 40s. I was also doing quite a bit more bicycle riding. And I don't know if I can't give any proof that there's a parallel there, but in my own mind, I know there was. And but I didn't discover it until later. I mean, I can look back now and say, Jesus, what was I thinking? Well, I wasn't thinking anything. If the thought had crossed my mind, I would have thrown that bicycle off a cliff and walked away and never looked back. But it just didn't cross my mind.
Wow. So then you tried the injections for a while, huh?
Oh, my God. Now, that's when a man has reached the point where he's got to... Can you even imagine taking a hypodermic needle? Have either of you ever given yourself an injection?
No.
You know diabetics and people like that have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, try to imagine putting that thing into the base of your penis.
Well, that's not something I'm going to imagine. I'm just going to
Yes.
If that doesn't make your equipment shrivel up right at this moment, then you're not listening.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's. How did you? I guess maybe you say a little bit more in the pamphlet, but how did you do that like daily or was it like
Sometimes, because actually, any of the audience out there that has taken, for instance, diabetic injections, insulin injections, the needles they have today they're just so fine that you almost don't feel it. It's barely a pinch, or I couldn't have kept doing it. And the results were worth it because you just get roaring erections that last a long time. And so I kept going with that. Yeah. Now I've always been kind of I don't call myself a sex addict, but I sure like to have a lot of sex. I would say 3 or 4 times a week with her, and then probably I was masturbating at least a couple times a week besides that. So it was almost a daily thing.
Oh, wow. So to even masturbate, you had to give yourself an injection.
Nope. That was the one caveat. The one exception is that I think guys that masturbate don't generally. You know what it takes to get you excited, and at least I did. And no, when at that moment there's no stress. I'm relaxed. I'm with my other best friend, my right hand, and so I could relieve the pressure, as it were. So the injections were probably 3 to 4 times a week, maybe more often occasionally, but that's still a lot.
Yeah, to have to do that every time.
In a small area. Now that's the key. You don't have that much space down there, and every time, you ever notice when you get an injection, you go to the doctor, that the area around the injection stays sore for a day or 2 later, sometimes longer?
Oh, yeah.
yes?
Yep.
The injection's just a tiny little prick, but the soreness area is the size of a nickel or a quarter.
No pun intended, yes.
None at all. and that's what started happening, and that soreness, after a while, I'm sticking this thing in all around the perimeter of the base. And pretty soon, there's nowhere left that I can put it in because I can't get through the scar tissue that was building up. Seriously.
It's like a ring of fire.
Yeah.
Around
I think you just made every guy wince that's going to listen to this.
God, I'll tell you. Any guy that's been through this knows what I'm talking about.
So
now I'm really frustrated. My marriage to this lady is falling apart. It's 20 plus years later. We both aged. Unfortunately, guys, she aged into her 40s, which for most women means she still thinks she's 30-something. And I have rapidly aged into my 50s and into my 60s. And you can't make that gap up anymore. At least I couldn't. And so then I've got the extra frustration and tension of that added to my distractions, I'll say.
Now, was the marital? Do you think that the marital issues were coming from that, or do you think that it was you guys are just having issues in general, just growing apart?
You know, that's a great question, and I've thought about that quite a bit. I've since her and I broke up 5.5 years ago now. I've dated around for a while, and then I found a lady who was only 2 years younger than me. That is a big excuse me. That's a big source of pressure off of my whole life, my conscience, and everything else. Because she's my age. She understands what it's like to be our age. The other one was always pretending she was younger than she was, never mind the fact that she was way younger than I was.
I wonder, and that must have been a pressure on that relationship as well, in the fact that you're almost meeting that stereotype where, like, yeah, you're an older guy and you can't, I'm younger and you can't get it up or whatever. That right. Probably added to some degree, at least in my mind, to maybe the perception of the gap between your ages, at least.
Yep. Interesting, Cruise Control. I hadn't thought about it until you just put it the way you did, the way you phrased the question. I think it would have been totally different if I would have only met her when she was 40-something and I was 60.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been doable because we would have accepted each other where we were.
Yeah, because at that age, when you're right around 40, a lot of accepting starts to happen in your life.
He would have accepted me better.
Yeah.
But at that point, she was starting to get that cougar influence going through her mind, and she was hanging around with single gals that were her age, and man, when they were out going to the bars trying to pick up guys, they weren't trying to pick up old guys. They were going for the young guys.
Well, of course, yeah, that's what you do. You try to bring back that magic around this age.
Yep. So, anyway, but que sera. We had our time, and it was good while it lasted, but it was time to go, and we're both better off.
Well, you feel kind of, like you said, you're having this issue, so you start blaming it on that. Oh God, does she think I'm old and I'm worn out, and she just lost her desire for me, or are we just having issues? Just because we're growing apart.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep.
But
that wasn't it. That was only part of the the vegetable soup that made up the whole problem. But there wasn't any one thing in particular. It was just actually it was kind of a relief to find out that it was a physical issue that could be addressed. And I read about it in the booklet. At that point, I was seeing a urologist, and have you guys had your first visit with a urologist yet?
I've had my prostate checked.
Nope, not the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
You learn things about yourself that you couldn't have even imagined before. One of the interesting things, you go to your first visit with a urologist to have your equipment checked out in general. They have you go in to take the little cup and go in a room and pee, and they tell you to put a couple ounces in the cup and then put it in a little pass-through door in the wall so the lab people can get at it. But then they tell you, be sure and void your bladder. Finish peeing in the toilet, okay? So you do that. And then they tell you to go back in the waiting room. Well, I did that, and pretty soon the nurse comes out and says, she calls my name, Howard, and I hear her, and she says, would you come with me? And we go into into the radiology department, where she has me drop my drawers again, and she rubs the grease on the lower belly area, right above the pubic bone, and she takes an ultrasound. You know what they are?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's they use them on pregnant gals to look at the baby.
Yeah.
Right.
She uses the ultrasound on me, and the screen is live. I can see what it's looking at. She's showing me my bladder, which I thought I had just emptied. And guess what she found? About
still
3 to 4 ounces of urine were still in my bladder.
Oh, wow.
Because, and I said the same thing. What the hell is that doing? She says, until you men understand this, you think you're done peeing, but you're not. And I associate myself, I'd say all the time when somebody says, what took you so long in the bathroom? I said, I'm like a camel. I've got at least 3 bladders. And I got to drain the first 2, and the third one always takes a long time to finish.
Wow, that's interesting to know. So are you saying that maybe all of us need to just stop, let's spend an extra 20 seconds just waiting?
Yeah, stand over the toilet.
Just tickle yourself a little bit. And it doesn't even have to be down there. You can tickle your ear. Anything will make you peed.
Mm-hmm. Just get that out of there.
You try that, but I'll tell you what, if you wake up having to pee in the middle of the night, that's probably the biggest reason why is you didn't completely void your bladder the last time you peed before you went to bed.
Oh wow, that's something I'm gonna pay attention to that more after this.
And now I am too. I know, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and pee, and it's a real long pee, and I'm thinking, well, good, I'm emptying out.
Give yourself time to let it all out, Max.
So this has nothing to do with the erectile part of it, right? The several ounces in the bladder, obviously.
It does. It does, because unless you've got a real supercharged state of passion going on, which happens occasionally. By the way, I have found that diet, we were talking about Viagra earlier, I have found that diet can be just as influential about the quality of my erections, as sometimes more so than taking a pill. And it's true. Seafood always, I always get a good erection from seafood, but especially from like shellfish and mussels and clams and.
See, I like those. I like that stuff.
Oh yeah, give me some. What about shrimp? Because I can tear up some shrimp. Make sure.
You're talking. That's it. So yeah, and not having a voided bladder can absolutely influence an erection. Like I said, unless I've got one of those super erections, I'm super excited. Those things can, you know what I mean? They can overcome anything.
Yeah.
Right.
We all
you feel like knock a wall down with it. Go ahead.
Exactly, like a diving board. Gotcha.
So then
diving board. Yep.
Finish telling about the urology thing. This is fascinating. So she saw the urine in your bladder.
Sure. Yeah, and she was just actually that was just a procedure that they go through with all men of a certain age. When usually we end up going there because we're having trouble peeing.
Right.
We might have some pain from urination. And that's really, I could not recommend strongly enough that you get to a urologist and let them really look it over so you don't worry about it, because your own anxiety will just make it worse anyway, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of what the urologists are able to do for us today, and mostly it's just a search and advise kind of a mission.
So
but that was good, because at this point in my life, I'm not taking any risks. I don't want the phone disturbing me. I don't want to have to get off of her halfway through the performance and go pee, and then jump back in bed and try to get both of us back in the mood again. So,
well, and who wants that anyway? You know, it's like, here's the thing that just shot out a gallon of piss. Now I'm going to stick it back in you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're less fussy about that than we are, Max.
Right. But I could imagine, it being the other, like going down on a chick and she's like, I got to pee. You think you want to put your mouth back down there? Hell no.
It'll never happen. unless she's drunk.
Yeah, and that's probably, then you want to get away quick, because that might be.
Then you want to rethink the whole situation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, I've got another. It's kind of not a pet peeve, but it's become kind of a pet interest in this area that has come up recently. I recently saw, and if anybody associated with her is listening, this is a freebie, but it's out there for public consumption. It's a video called "The Vagina Monologues." Have you heard of it?
Yeah,
I think I have.
Yeah, it's a very big. Well, it used to be a big feminist thing, but then the feminists turned on it. Yeah, it's interesting, to say the least.
I saw it for the first time, and I sat and watched it with my wife, and I got to tell you, I learned a lot. And it really I learned what I'm talking about, guys. Is I learned the kind of things that make me a better lover for her.
Okay.
And that's why I put that little phrase in the book that I said, before you get started, make sure you give her as much foreplay as she needs. And when I said, how much is that? Remember what the answer was?
As
whatever she says it is.
Yeah, whatever she says is where I was going.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And who doesn't like foreplay? I think foreplay is the best part of it, to me.
That's a great attitude, Max. that'll carry you a long way in life. I guarantee it.
I personally, I love foreplay. You know, I guess some guys just want to get right down to business.
I don't get it either, man. It's part of the whole experience. So,
yeah, isn't it though? Yep. So that part, it just, all of this came together along with the Love Cinch, which is nothing more than a silicone bracelet that I had laying around. Max asked me to identify the site that I got it from, and I don't know if you caught my email earlier this evening. I asked you to take that down. Don't list that guy's site. If you have it up there, just take it down.
Oh, we haven't put anything up yet.
We haven't put anything up yet, so we won't. Don't worry, we're not going to do that. So,
I would, if I may, I would just simply tell anybody that's listening, go on Google and Google silicone bracelet, and you will get overwhelmed with companies that produce these things. There's two things I would look for in a silicone bracelet that'll really make this thing work for you, because number one, the silicone is nice and soft, and I understand it's a cleaner product. You can wash it and so on. You want to get a small, medium, and large, because you don't know what size you need. So they make them in at least 3 sizes. Get all 3. They're just pennies each, couple bucks for all of them. And then get them embossed. They're all available with lettering.
Did you say embossed?
Embossed.
Yeah, embossed. Why?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
You want to get there's 2 kinds of engraving that they can put on an item like this. It's either carved into the surface, or it's raised. Raised.
Gotcha.
Okay. Put her name on the thing. I don't care. Put something on there, and this is what you use it for. When you get the bracelet that's going to fit for you, so it's going to comfortably fit over your erection and your testicles, and it's as I said, you want it snug but not pinching tight. You just want it snug. It doesn't have to choke this area off. It's just there to give a little support.
That was my next question. I mean, because I could see somebody wrapping it way too tight, you know?
Sure. Well, they're going to figure that out. If they do that, and I have, you're going to have trouble having an orgasm. It might get painful to leave it on there very long. The one that I use, and I've got several, but the one that I use the most is, I would say, about a medium size. It's just a medium squeeze. You know, if you wrap your thumb and forefinger around your wrist and just squeeze a little bit.
Right.
If you squeeze too hard, it hurts. Yeah. But if you squeeze a little bit, it kind of feels good.
And I'm sure if you do it too tightly, they'll look like Barney the Purple Dinosaur after a while. So
yep.
You probably want to.
Well, that's a great point, but that's another benefit, Cruz, that that extra pressure. Oh my God! All of a sudden, you're going to bring your testicles are going to give you more sensation than they did before. But that lettering that I was talking about, you put that part top, front, and center, because when you're making a full penetration on her, guess where that thing is rubbing?
On her clit, huh?
Exactly, right on her clitoris. And I learned from the Vagina Monologues that women have 1,000 times more sensation in that little area of their body than men have in all the rest of their body put together.
Wow, wow.
That's, well, my question is, what made you even try this particular thing? What made you just grab this thing and connect A to B, you know?
Desperation. No, besides that, I'm a guy that likes to finish things that I start. And I'd been on this quest, and I come from genetically, I come from a family that's got good genes, thank goodness. I've got quite a number of uncles and one of my grandfathers that all made it into their 90s, and they were all vigorous right up to the end, and then they sort of died in their sleep. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was I'd better plan for the long haul because there was a good chance that I was going to make it. And I love sex, and I love women. I love making love to women. I love having sex with women. And my equipment just wasn't performing the way it used to. And the bridge, to answer your question, the bridge from there to here was a little device that you've probably seen on late night television called the penis pump.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You put this pneumatic tube over your equipment, and there's a plunger there that you squeeze, and it pumps all the air out of the tube, which draws your penis up into the tube and assists you're getting an erection. And then this is where the band came in. They provide you with these rubber rings that you're supposed to put around your penis to keep the erection full.
Yeah, it's like
like the cock rings, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know about maybe there's other guys out there that have. Evidently, there must be because they're still selling cock rings. But I never had good luck with those things. If they were going to be tight enough to work, then they kind of choked off the orgasms, and they were uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I'm wrestling with that one evening, and this bracelet, the silicone bracelet that I had, I bought for a kind of a carpal tunnel condition I got in my one wrist. Probably my right wrist didn't have too much when I was a younger guy. And a little extra help around the wrist on days when it was achy and hurting. And it's laying on the end table next to the bed, and I picked it up and I stretched it out with both hands, and I thought, I wonder if this will work. And so I'm just being a guy, right? Let's try this. And the Love Cinch, as I've come to call it, was born.
Wow! And so you wrap this around the base of the penis
and the testicles together.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's the difference between it and that's what I was going to ask. The difference between that and the standard cock ring is that you're basically wrapping it around one side of your penis, then going underneath and cupping your balls up, what I would assume, and kind of strapping your balls, kind of pressing them against or not necessarily pressing them, but stretching it over there, so it's like you said, right where the scrotum is, right behind that, right?
Try to imagine a picture of Popeye the cartoon sailor man.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in his Popeye pose. He's standing there with that big head of his, and he's got those big arms crossed right over his chest, and they're kind of lifted up because his pecs are pretty big too. Your cock and your balls kind of look like Popeye's head and his arms crossed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see what you mean. I know exactly what the hell that you mean.
I've done that so much, Cruz, that I'll come to bed and I'll even put my Popeye voice on and say, "Oh, sweetie, I'm home."
Oh, Jesus.
Well, blow me down.
I bet your wife loves that.
And at that point, guys, she goes, "I'm in here."
Sweet, or whatever her name is, right?
Olive oil. Good old Olive. Gonna open that can of spinach for the evening.
Yeah, no kidding. By the way, spinach is another damn good energy food to eat. Not too long before you jump in the sack.
Well, hell yeah! You eat some spinach, you make yourself a Popeye, and you go to town.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. Now, another benefit of using this thing is that there are plenty of times that I don't bother to go get it. I discovered I can't really put it on effectively until I've already got a decent erection started.
Okay.
And this thing has given me so much confidence that I will frequently just start with the foreplay with her, and she's playing with me and I'm playing with her, and we're just doing our best to make each other and ourselves happy. And I get one of those roaring erections, and I said, I'm just going to go for it. And she said, absolutely. And one of the other thing is, and I can't speak too highly about this, guys, I don't know about other guys, but I never cared much for lotions, like KY or sexual lubricant.
Right.
But as gals get older, and my gal is closer to 70 than she is to 65, they don't lubricate like they used to. Although, right. So that lotion will prevent the friction that makes her uncomfortable. And you can pretty well figure that out. If she's not comfortable, nobody's going to have a good time.
No.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the case. Well, the whole point of neither of you are comfortable. That's the whole point, and that's the whole thing about the bracelet, is that it makes you feel more comfortable. It makes you better at what you're doing, and kind of enhances the whole thing.
It does so much, Cruz. It's just amazing. I am just thrilled that I found the thing. I am really happy to be able to share the news with people. I am a guy of a certain age, and I know that there's a lot of guys. They've done surveys on these things, on the sex frequency, the sexual activity frequency of people my age really falls off dramatically, and that's such a shame because it doesn't have to.
Right.
I've taken up yoga in the last couple of weeks. I went to my third class tonight because I've got some I got this torn rotator cuff thing in my shoulder. In fact, I've had it now in both shoulders, and it healed back to about 75% on a good day, but it'll never be 100%. Well, the yoga is, I never thought this would happen, but the yoga is loosening it up. And there's a lot of really cool people in the yoga classes. I was next to a woman the other day in my class who had came out. The instructor was chatting with her, and she said, "Oh, that's right, you were in ballet." This gal still had the body of a ballet dancer.
Oh, wow. Well, yoga's good.
Let that ring, guys. Sorry about that.
Any of the best ways that you can, and that's what her figure still looked like. I mean, I didn't see her naked, but she was wearing those leotards that all the girls wear nowadays. Get this, fellows. She was closer to 90 than she was to 85.
No shit.
No shit.
Wow.
She still had the bod. She still had the legs, and she was still flexible.
Damn.
Well, hey, that's
At almost 90,
Well, it's a state of mind. Even now, as I get older, it's like I need to get my head out of my ass because I'm not really that old. And it doesn't matter anyways because you have what you have, so you have to do use it to the best of your abilities. So you need to keep yourself active and going, and I think it's probably just like another one of those examples of, well, I'm older, so I shouldn't do this. Or, I'm older, so maybe sex is I can't do that anymore. Well, then you're just a self-defeating
make yourself old
purpose.
by saying things, or saying I'm too old for this, or
I won't be able to keep the erection. Well, maybe you might with some assistance or with just a change in attitude and confidence. And it's kind of makes you wonder, like you said, Howard. You were having issues with the erection, but then at some points now, since you have this reassurance there, you don't even need it, which makes you wonder.
You haven't even used the bracelet from what you said sometimes, right?
Sometimes. That's absolutely right, Max.
Wow. That's awesome.
I use it most of the time, but occasionally we've got a sailboat about 200 miles from where our home is that we go up, and it's pretty big. It's 37 feet long, and I could sail it around the world if I chose to. But it's a liveaboard, and we go up there, and I got to tell you, sometimes with all the packing and everything else, sometimes the bracelet gets misplaced. You wouldn't think it would, but it happens. And, I've used other things. I've used those blue rubber bands that they put around vegetables at the grocery store.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Those thick ones.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was awesome. That is just great. Oh, another thing, I kind of shave the area a lot, I mean, I don't have much hair down there anymore, and she likes that a lot. She likes the way it feels. I said, doesn't it kind of feel like a baby's? And she goes, yeah.
You're like, oh, let's just,
but bigger.
Yeah. You would hope.
Nice.
And it's easy to do. I only do it once a week because I'm not trying to be hair free. I don't want to look like a porn star. But it helps because then the hair doesn't get caught in the stretchy part of the
Oh
braid.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's right.
You can deal with that. The little lotion will go a long way for that too, though. Just put some lotion around the bracelet if you don't feel like shaving yourself. Just put a little lotion in your hand, and then just take the bracelet and just kind of squeeze it in your hand with the lotion until it gets all greased up with the KY jelly or whatever you're using, and then put it on, and it won't grab hair.
Got to be better than injection rings around.
Oh, Jesus.
God.
Yeah.
I will never stick a needle in my penis again unless it's for a life-saving effort, and I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Now, where do you get these things embossed? Is this when you purchase it online? Will they emboss it for you, or?
Yeah, they all do it. You just Google silicone bracelet, and you will come up with more information than you'll need. And there's a couple of you can tell the top companies, the ones that are more serious about being in business, and just go on the site and see what they offer. A lot of them have an 800 number. If you want it immediately, you can get it shipped overnight for a little bit more extra.
Wow.
Yeah, and at this point, until I have a relationship with a vendor, and Max gave me a great idea. I need to do that. I've just had so many eggs in my basket lately. I just haven't had time to get that done. I thought I would have it done by tonight, but it just there's too many other things going on right now. But that'll work.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're sending these people business, so the least you can. That's why I had mentioned earlier to put the site up.
I know.
You know. So, but we won't do that. I'll actually Cruz, after the interview's over, I'll forward you the link. Just don't put up the last one.
Okay.
On the video. So, but the other one where you can buy his booklet is, I love it, VirileGeezer.com.
Yes. That's mine. I own that.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
And that's actually great because it's breaking down because we talk about we talk about stereotypes and group thinking a lot on our show and on what we do. And one of the things that we always talk, it's always talking like, oh, I'm old, so it's kind of like breaking down and just like showing people, all right, hey, just do what you do as a person, I mean, you got to live. You're still alive. Your heart's beating. If your blood's pumping, why shouldn't it be pumping in your penis? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why not?
Right.
So absolutely. So Virile Geezer, okay.
VirileGeezer.com.
Not viral. That's you don't want to go to don't go to Virile Geezer.
They're both okay. Virile or viral, they both work. But the geezer, it's an oxymoron. Old guys aren't thought of as being vigorous anymore, and we all know that is just not true. When you look at Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you guys can probably list a lot more of them than I can think of, that are guys that are up there now. Schwarzenegger's got to be around 60, if not over.
Shit, look at Mick Jagger. I'm sure he's still knocking some walls out. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed, and he's in his mid-70s almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yep, you're right. You're right. That's a good one.
These rock stars and things. So.
Yeah.
But well, it's really cool, man. Now, when you first met your current wife, were you having these issues, or was it something that's that by then you'd found the cure?
I had just come across. No, I didn't. No, I hadn't discovered it. In fact, I was just I had put my whole love life on hold. I'd had an accident shortly after wife number 2 left me. I had a slip and fall, and I literally shattered a rotator cuff tendon on my right shoulder. And I had it surgically repaired, and about a week later, I had an unfortunate accident where the shoulder got kind of crushed enough to open up the surgery, tear the surgery open.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Oh man, talk about being laid up. I couldn't lift a bottle of beer. My right arm was useless. I couldn't move around much at all because of the condition of that. And you know what, you hit a crisis like that, and you just got to make up your mind that you're either going to beat this thing or it's going to beat you, but there is no in between. And I did what I did. I had given up on the bicycle at that point, so I went out for long walks. I live up here in the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the middle of winter. I would go out for walks. I'd wake up and I just had to get out of the house. Of course, I was taking Percocet at the time too. I would put my parka and my snow pants and boots on. I'd go out walking in a blizzard, and I'd walk for miles just to burn off the anxiety. And I got through it, and I started getting out more. I like this Meetups bunch, and I don't mind promoting them because I think Meetups.com it is just an absolutely awesome site for people with similar interests to meet each other, and it doesn't have to be a dating site. They got groups that.
I have my improv.
You know what I'm
group
talking about?
My improv group. I have a 515 people in my improv group, Eugene Improv, Improv in Eugene. There, that's how I organize my group, and that's how I organize my improv stuff that I do, improv comedy. So I use it all the time. I pay a fee, and it's worth every penny of it because I've got this group going. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I started going to meetups, and I took up swing dancing again when my arm felt good enough to be able to do that kind of activity, and then I met her, and she was showing up at the same things, and I liked her, and it scared the hell out of me when I found out how old she was because I hadn't gone out with a woman that old yet. I had been kidding myself for the last 25, 30 years almost that I was only in my late 40s too. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I woke up one day and looked in the mirror and I went, holy fuck, you're 65 years old.
Yeah.
It kind of bit you right in the ass, huh?
Oh my goodness. They could hear the scream in the next county. I jumped right through the roof. And, oh man. But I just decided I'm not going to be one of these phony baloney types that's going to, put the shoe polish brown coloring in their hair and go through the phony facelifts. And I hate to say it, but Arnold is starting to do that, and it annoys me. And so is Tom Selleck, and I love both of those guys, and I wish they would just knock it off and embrace their gray hair and just be really good at being the age they really are instead of trying to pretend that they're 10 or 20 years younger than that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's for you. I wish everyone would do that.
Yeah, because it's not real.
Oh, my God. You go on Pinterest at all, either of you?
No, I'm not.
I don't know. A lot of it's visual, so
it is definitely visual. I'm just not a huge social media fan. Facebook's enough for me.
Right.
I just can't. I mean, Facebook and YouTube are my things. And even Facebook, I'm just get tired of a lot of times. So. Yep.
Well, I was on there just researching people my age in fitness, and I inadvertently came across a lot of pop-ups for sites that celebrate older women, like Catherine Deneuve and Sophia Loren and what's Elvis's old girlfriend Anne Margaret. These broads are all in their 60s and 70s. Sophia Loren's 81 and she still looks fabulous, and they've got silver hair and they're just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
They're also very. Remember Benny Hill?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love Benny Hill. Remember what Benny Hill said about older women?
I don't actually.
Said he loved older women. He said they don't yell, they don't tell, and they're grateful as hell.
Hey, I like older women, man.
That's why you like exactly. So
that's my neighborhood, man. I don't, I think most of the women I've dated have been my age or older. That's kind of been my prerequisite. I do not like younger women.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
have either of you used any of the internet dating sites?
Yeah, I've tried a few of them, and a lot of women with issues. Actually, funny enough, one of them that I did get on was seniorpeoplemeet.com.
Yeah. I know that one.
And I met some people off there, but again, a lot of them have self-esteem issues. I think I think the best way to do it is like you said, man. You went to something, and you didn't go with the intention of meeting anyone. You just happened to go show up, and you met someone you liked, and there it was, man. It was on from there.
Well, I went to things that I could meet women at that I would possibly want to go out with, and I did. So I wasn't. It wasn't like going to a pickup bar, because I had realized that it wasn't gonna. I didn't want to have one night stands anymore. Anyway, they're too damn much work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's it.
And any woman you pick up that'll go to bed with you just like that, especially at my age, they really have issues.
Well, and that's what I was running across a lot on those dating sites. Was the first time I was with these women, we're back at my house and we're screwing around, and they're saying things like, "Well, I didn't think we'd be having sex." Well, okay.
I'm going to put a shout out for one that I've heard nothing but good things about is eHarmony, because I love to listen to talk radio, and they advertise a lot on talk radio, and one of the things I heard from one of the talk radio guys, who's also about my age, and I'm not going to use his name, but this isn't anything confidential. He really is an advocate of the sites that are more intense, like eHarmony, and he mentioned a couple other ones, because they ask more questions.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I've been on 3 now, and I wasn't impressed with any of them. So I've just kind of gone back to, well, you know what? The best thing for me has always been, if I don't go with any intentions or whatever, who knows who the hell I'll meet. So I've kind of stayed away from the dating sites as of recently. So,
get it.
But hey man, I'm it's great that you met someone, and so she was aware of your issues then at that point, right?
Not right away. It came about, eventually that conversation has to come up. We both kind of had an agreement early on. We like kissing, and we liked petting, but we kind of did it with our clothes on, with the petting part.
Okay.
And we kept it that way for quite a long time, for a couple of months before we started going further. And then at that, Max, you're reminding me, you're taking me back 3 years, and if your memory's anything like mine, sometimes you have to work on it for a while to remember what it is you're thinking about.
I don't know, man. I'm probably got a pretty good memory.
Good. Well, I at that time, I was struggling with this issue, and I hadn't discovered the love cinch yet. That occurred, and I think I've got that in the booklet. That occurred after I met her, and we started attempting to have intercourse together, and that's when it reared its beautiful head in this case, because that thing has just been a lifesaver for me. 70-year-old guys are not supposed to. We're told that we're not supposed to look forward to having sexual intercourse 3 or 4 times a week, but we've hardly missed that mark in the 3 years we've been going to bed together.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's just because of you trying something out and experimenting, and then seeing that it worked for you, and then just wanting to share that with everyone else, obviously. So, and it's and you just and the funny thing is, like you said, is that you don't even use it sometimes now, because you have it there to use if you need to use it. And you keep on keeping on is what you've been doing, basically.
That's right. That's right, Cruz. That's true. And the other side of the coin, and I got that from the Vagina Monologues, is that a lot of women just put up with men leaving them unsatisfied because they don't know what the hell to say to us. They're afraid of hurting our feelings, doing something to cause a relationship that's already difficult to come up with these days, where you've met somebody that you would trust enough to want to go to bed with them, and then it turns out he's not able to fulfill your needs, And that's one of the beautiful things about this Love Cinch, and I'm really going to go after the women's market with this thing, because I think this could help a lot of gals who are frustrated because their men can't satisfy them, and it isn't because the guys don't want to. They're in the same quandary the woman's in. They don't know what the hell to do.
Because it's communication. It's always about that's
the key.
You got to be able to be honest.
Communicate, then you don't have anything going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
right.
It's two things, but it's also it's meeting halfway across across the sky basically.
Yep.
Because you have to be able to know what they're have to have some kind of intuition to know what you think feels good to them, but you also have to be told sometimes, and it goes both ways too. So.
Yep.
But that's one of the big things. It's like almost like there's a rule against that. Like, oh, if she's telling you what to do, then you're not really doing. And like, no, if she's telling you what to do and she's enjoying herself, then you're both enjoying yourself.
Right.
It's not like it doesn't have to be a mystery. It doesn't have to be Sherlock Holmes.
Well, and kind of too, like you were saying with the girls I was meeting off the dating sites. Of course, there's no communication there. It's like, hey, the first time I met you, we're here at my house and my dick's in your mouth, and what else is there to do, Whereas this case, you guys really took the time to get to know each other. You communicated about your issues, and she was, God damn it, I'm sorry, I'm getting texted here. You're getting, you guys communicated, and shit, man, it's beautiful, man. You guys have an open communication with everything now.
Well, we do, and we took it to the next level, and I asked her to marry me about a year and a half ago, and we stayed. In fact, it was almost 2 years ago. We were engaged for close to a year before we tied the knot, and that was just a year ago, coming up in June.
Wow.
We're still kind of on our honeymoon.
Well, congratulations.
That's awesome.
And it just, like you said, it just goes to show, try things out, figure things out, and you could have a hard on for a long time.
Yes. You'll have a strong, hard relationship.
Yeah.
They say we have the ability, gentlemen, to get erections for the rest of our lives, even if we live to be really, really old.
You're damn right we do. At least I hope so.
Yeah, that's and like I was saying to you at the beginning, I mean, this is pretty major because this is worse than admitting you have cancer. I think all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't get a heart on. What kind of man am I? You know what I'm saying? Well,
it's pretty drastic. Yeah, I'll give you that. It's pretty drastic.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy at the gym the other day who he woke up in the emergency room at the hospital. He's in his 60s at that time, and he didn't know why the hell he was there. And as he got more conscious, he's aware that he can't move any part of his body except his face, and even then he couldn't talk very well. His arms and legs didn't work at all.
Shit.
And he'd been stricken with a kind of tuberculosis, I think he said.
Oh, fuck. I was thinking stroke.
I know. He thought so, too, but it wasn't. And he's hooked up to a machine that's literally keeping him alive. And when the doctor came in and told him what was what, he said, unplug it. Just unplug it. I don't want to live. Wow. And the doctor said, you can come back from this. You can rehabilitate yourself. And now I know this guy. It's probably been a year since that happened to him. He walks with a walker, but he's at the gym where I work out. One of those big community gyms. He's there 3-4 times a week. His brother drives him because he's still not driving, but he's still pushing himself. And man, that guy inspires me.
See, we were just having our last show. We talked about that, inspiration. And that is inspirational.
Yeah, because you get back on your feet after dealing with something, not just because of who you
are.
So you just keep on going. So I guess it's about that time to get this kind of wrapped up here. Now, what do you have? What are your lasting thoughts on this? Obviously, it's a love cinch. We've got your pamphlet, or you can check it out at the website VirileGeezer.com. Any other websites? Any other thing you want to say? Any last words? What else do you have to say?
Sure. Just Amazon Books. It's called the ED Love Cinch by Howard Casanova. And it's available as a you can order a hard copy, or you can get a Kindle for people that like to read on devices, and that's a lot cheaper. And the Amazon people have treated me real well. I've got another book on there that I wrote, and Max interviewed me for a year ago called Beyond AA. Excuse me, I had to burp. Beyond AA. And that was about my years, almost 25 years of attending Alcoholics Anonymous. And about that same time, at age 65, I'd lost my wife. I found out I was broke because she took all the money out of our pension and ran off with it. And I'm 65 years old. And my shoulder has gone to hell. And I decided, fuck it, I need to have a drink once in a while. You know what I mean?
Right.
Talking about it in meetings just wasn't helping anymore, and I kind of made a deal with myself that if I could have a glass of wine or two, and sometimes three, about an hour apart. I don't drink the hard stuff. I've tried it occasionally, and it always it's just too intense for me, but my big drug of choice before I went to meetings was pot, and I cannot even think about smoking pot. My lungs just wouldn't take it. So I found a way out of meetings and how to cope with life without meetings, because my life was kind of centered around them for a long time. And that's worked out great. I've replaced meetings with swing dancing and sailing.
And, eating love cinches.
And lots of sex. Yeah. Oh, my God. And going to the gym. I'm at our local gym at least 3 times a week. And it's pretty good shape for the shape I'm in. I took up running recently. And I never thought I would do that again, but I use that barefoot shoe because it protects the bottom of your foot.
Yeah, I've heard of those, actually. Yeah.
I can run with those on. I run about 15 minutes a time, and I do that 3 times a week on a treadmill, and that's helped a lot.
Nice.
So,
well,
I know. I can just go on the yoga, the working out, the sailing, sail up on Lake Superior, one of the biggest bodies of water in the world, in freshwater, and that's where the Edmund Fitzgerald, that freighter, it sunk on Lake Superior, man.
Well, that's what makes you a Virile Geezer, man.
That's right.
Well, Virile Geezer. So we'll put that link up in the description on the bar. Also put a link up to the Amazon. I believe I can do that on YouTube. I think you can.
They would love it.
So I will do it. I'll put both those links up. Howard, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been interesting.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Max and Cruise Control, you guys were awesome, and I'm going to get back on again. I'm working on another book, Max. I'll be talking to you about it soon.
All right.
Well, cool, man.
Once again, Howard, thank you for joining us. I am Cruise Control.
I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And that's the story there.
Bitches.
We'll see y'all later. Nothing Sacred interview with Howard Casanova. We'll be back soon with another episode of our normal stuffs.
Yeah.
Later.